I woke up to the smell of old goat cheese and the sound of someone screaming at me in a language that sounded like a blender full of gravel. It was midnight. I was at a border crossing between Croatia and Bosnia, a country I had absolutely no intention of visiting that day. My phone was at 1%, my luggage was likely on its way to a completely different city, and the bus driver looked like he wanted to trade me for a carton of cigarettes. How did I get here? Well, it turns out that being an experienced traveler is just code for being dangerously overconfident. Welcome to the story of how my simple transit through Zagreb turned into a total international incident. Let us back up. I arrived in Zagreb feeling like the king of Europe. I have navigated the Tokyo subway and survived the chaos of Marrakesh. So a bus station in Croatia? Please, that is amateur hour. The Zagreb bus terminal is a brutalist concrete maze designed specifically to humiliate anyone who does not speak fluent Croatian. My plan was simple: get a ticket, hop on the bus to the coast, and enjoy a nice sunset by the Adriatic. I did not need a map, I did not need to ask for help. I had my traveler's intuition, which, as it turns out, has the directional accuracy of a drunk pigeon. The air was thick with diesel fumes and the kind of humidity that makes your clothes feel like they are made of wet cardboard. I walked up to the ticket window with a smug smile, ready to conquer the Balkans. I was about to learn that the Balkans do not like being conquered by tourists in flip-flops. I thought I was in control. I thought I knew the way, but was I even looking at the right schedule? Not even close. The first boss battle of this journey was the lady at the ticket counter. She didn't just dislike me, she seemed to find my entire existence a personal insult. I asked for a ticket to Split in my best English, and she responded with a stare so cold it could have preserved meat for the winter. There was no hello, no thank you. Just a series of aggressive grunts and a ticket slammed onto the counter like a challenge to a duel. I took it, assuming everything was fine. I didn't check the platform number because, well, I saw a big number on the paper and assumed it was the gate. Mistake number one. I followed the signs through a dimly lit hallway that smelled like industrial floor cleaner in desperation. I found a bus. It had a sign in the window that looked vaguely like it said Split. In hindsight, Split and Surbots looked nothing alike, but in my caffeine-deprived state, I figured close enough was good enough. I handed my bag to the driver, who tossed it into the abyss of the luggage hold, and I climbed aboard. As soon as I sat down, I knew something was off. The bus did not smell like a coastal shuttle. It smelled heavily of goat cheese, old diesel, and someone's very specific brand of tobacco. The seats were covered in a fabric that had likely seen the fall of the Berlin Wall. I reached into my pocket to check my location on Google Maps, only to see that terrifying red sliver. 1% battery. My charger? Oh, that was safely locked in my suitcase in the luggage hold below. I looked around at my fellow passengers. They were not tourists in sun hats. They were rugged locals with heavy coats and eyes that had seen things. I tried to stay calm. Maybe this was just a local route. Maybe the bus was just vintage. I decided to close my eyes for a minute to recharge my own brain. That was my second big mistake. When I woke up 2 hours later, the sun was gone, the highway lights were flickering, and the road signs were in a script I did not recognize. The panic started to set in like a cold sweat. Where was I? And more importantly, why were we stopping at a guard tower? The bus groaned to a halt. A man in a dark uniform stepped on and started shouting something that sounded like a demand for souls. Everyone else was pulling out passports. I looked out the window and saw a sign, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I felt my heart drop into my stomach. I was supposed to be at a beach bar in Split, not a military checkpoint in the mountains. I tried to catch the driver's eye. Excuse me, is this the bus to Split? He looked at me like I had just asked him to explain quantum physics in pig Latin. He started shouting, pointing at the door, and then at my ticket. It turns out I was not just on the wrong bus. I was on a regional transport to a village in the middle of nowhere. I was an accidental border crosser with no battery, no luggage, and absolutely no plan. The driver was getting more agitated by the second. He did not speak English. I did not speak Croatian. It was a standoff of pure, unadulterated stupidity, and then he literally pointed to the gravel shoulder and told me to get off. Dots. There I was, standing on a dark road in the middle of the Balkans with my suitcase and my pride in tatters. I eventually found a local guy with a car who functioned as a sort of unofficial taxi. He smelled like garlic and victory. He agreed to drive me back to Zagreb, but it was not going to be cheap. $150 later, which is basically my entire food budget for a month, I was back at the same concrete bus terminal I had so confidently walked into 10 hours earlier. My phone finally died completely as I pulled into the city. I did not even bother looking for a hotel. I found a plastic bench, used my backpack as a pillow, and slept in the bus station like a true professional. Every time a bus engine revved, I jumped. I was broke, exhausted, and smelled like a goat farm. But at least I was back in the right country. It was the most expensive nap of my entire life. So what did we learn from my $150 mistake? Simple. Never trust your intuition when it is fueled by ego. Double-check the platform number 3 times. Then ask 3 different people if you are on the right bus. If they all look at you like you're crazy, you're probably in the right place. Thanks for joining me for another glorious disaster. Hit subscribe if you have ever been this lost, and I will see you in the next one.